Welcome to the Typical Sportsman Podcast. This is your monthly conservation spotlight episode brought to you by Pope & Young. And I have one of the world-class elk hunters, one of the best elk hunters that you might ever hear from, Mr. Casey Brooks. Casey has just recently shot the new world record non-typical American elk. It was just verified on Monday. And on Tuesday, here we are with Mr. Casey to hear the whole story. But before we hear the story, we talk about just Casey's bow hunting journey. We talk about how he got to where he is. We talk about the importance of supporting other hunters and celebrating in their success. We hear the incredible story of the new world record elk that Casey shot after having been in a terrible car accident and completely tearing his shoulder up. An incredible accomplishment, an incredible story. Casey knew where this bull was, and he tracked this bull down over several years. And finally, on December 31st of 2024, got an arrow in it and has officially killed the new Pope & Young world record. It gets better. This bull is less than half an inch away from the Boone and Crockett world record, which if you don't know what that means that it would be the biggest American non-typical elk ever found or killed in North America. An incredible bull, an incredible story. We then hear from Casey on some of his tips and tricks for you to kill bigger bulls more consistently. It is a phenomenal episode, and here's what I can tell you. You will hear some story about this elk that there has been some rumors spread about around this bull. You're going to hear the truth about that, and you're going to hear how to become a better elk hunter. Casey is a phenomenal guy, a phenomenal supporter of Pope & Young, and today you get to hear the story of his new world record non-typical American elk. This episode is brought to you by our good friends over at 2O, who make phenomenal Western gear. It's an incredibly sexy pattern. It's incredibly technical, and they have thought of everything. Incredibly high-quality merino, fantastic outerwear. It is a toolkit that just simply works. I've chased animals in this, busting through the mountains, chasing elk. I've chased whitetail in it. I've chased spring bear in it, and it just simply works. They have a piece of gear for pretty much everything that you're going to encounter. I would highly encourage you to go check out 2O. They're a phenomenal partner, a phenomenal supporter of Pope & Young, and they make incredible Western gear. Let's jump in with Mr. Casey Brooks and hear about the brand new world record, which not only is it a new world record, it shattered the old world record, non-typical American elk.
For the true sportsman, it's more than a pastime. It's a way of life. Embrace the lifestyle of hunting, fishing, and the thrill of the wild. Live the life. Be typical.
It's not often that a new company comes along in the archery world and just absolutely changes the game. However, that is exactly what Dialed Archery did when they entered the scene. Pretty much took the archery world by storm, and for good reason. Now, if you followed me, you know my review of the Arxos. There was some things I didn't like about the Arxos. However, when the proof was introduced, here's what they did. They took all of the customer feedback. They took all of the customer feedback so well that I believe with the proof, they have created a perfect sight. They listened to what the archery world wanted and needed out of a sight. And that's what they got with the proof. It is completely redesigned. It's completely in every way. It's just a better sight. They have improved on every issue that people had with the Arxos, and they have created, in my opinion, an absolute bomb-proof sight. Completely customizable on the website. Colors, pin configuration, pin sizes, pin colors. Completely customizable. You get exactly what you want right out of the box. Guys, I would highly encourage you to go check out Dialed Archery for your next sight. You are going to get, here's what I promise you, you are going to get more yardage out of a sight tape. Now, for a guy who's relatively on the short side of a draw length, That's pretty important to me. I shoot a heavier arrow and I don't have an incredibly long draw length. So that rail giving me a little bit more out of my sight tape is something that's very important to me. However, all of the other features of the proof make a bomb-proof sight. You can throw that thing around the mountain. You can drag it through the mud. It's going to perform every single time because Dialed has created, in my opinion, with the proof, the perfect sight. Go check out dialedarchery.com for your next and your last bow sight. Casey Brooks, the news has just broke. It is official. A brand new Pope and Young world record American non-typical elk. First off, congratulations, dude. Absolutely gorgeous bull. Phenomenal bull.
It's a beautiful bull. It really is beautiful. I said it before. I think it's the blueprint for Pope and Young and Boone and Crockett measuring 100%. For a non-typical elk. You know, I mean, yeah. It's everything that they're looking for and what they were dreaming of when they made the scoring system. So,
you know, and I don't say this to be mean to anybody, but we've had animals come into panel that's a potential world record. Mm-hmm. Like the butcher buck. I don't know if you remember that. It was actually killed just about an hour from my house here. Just a crazy whitetail. I mean, looked like just a bush on his head.
Yeah.
It was ugly. I mean, it really was. And I've told him that, like, I'm not, but you see those animals and you're like, dude, like, as much nicest guy on planet Earth, but you're like, I honestly don't want that to be the world record. Like, I don't want that to be the picture that is shown for the pinnacle of a world record. And like you said, your bull is just picture perfect for what should be a non-typical bull elk. Gorgeous bull.
Yes. It is beautiful. And I was extremely fortunate to have the chance to hunt the bull and obviously to be successful. It was, you know, just to see something like that in your lifetime is unbelievable. But to be lucky enough to harvest it, that's beyond anything I could ever dream of.
Now, before we get into the story, I also want to say, I'm glad it happened to you. And I say that because you talk to a lot of world record holders and they're like, you know, they've killed a couple nice bucks in their life, a couple nice bulls in their life. And then they kind of just stumble into a world record, you know, you hear the story and they're like, honestly, dude, we were hunting and we saw this stud and we shoot it and we were all ecstatic. And then we find out it might be a new world record. You know, I mean, that's sort of, and hey, I'm just as happy for those guys.
Oh, absolutely.
But for a new world record, I appreciate it being somebody who puts in the work, puts in the time, and not that anybody is deserving of that, but somebody who has put in more effort into achieving that, and somebody who knows the quality of animal that they're going after. You have killed how many bulls in your lifetime?
89 the other day was I number 89. About a week ago. Lord. And I've got one elk tag left this year, so we'll see how it goes. I'm here moose hunting right now and I'm trying to get a moose, and when I get that done, I'm going to go back and see if I can get another elk. I just love hunting elk. I mean, there's no secret to that.
Yeah, and elk hunting is a family tradition for you guys. I mean, your dad, your boy, like it's a generational love for elk hunting.
It is. My wife, both my sons. I have one son, Bo. Everybody knows Bo. Bo he's a machine. And, you know, Bo's not a trophy hunter. He's a guy that just loves to go call bulls. And it's more about how the elk comes in and the shot he gets than it is. I mean, of course he'd love to shoot a big bull, but you know, he's as excited about, you know, a bull that he shot the other day was probably 270 or something like that as I was with this giant. I mean, it's amazing how excited that kid gets. And so, you know, the trophy's in the eye of the bow holder is what it amounts to.
Yeah.
You know?
And I appreciate that immensely. I really do. I appreciate, and that's something that if I could say to anybody I would say that's the biggest misconception in the world when it comes to Pope and Young, that we only care about the biggest and the best, that we only care about, those top tier trophies. And hey, as stoked as we are about, and Justin Spring has this quote, and I'm not going to, I'm going to butcher it, but he talks about how he gets more excited when a book animal comes out of a county for the first time than a new world record. Like when a county produces their first ever book animal, that is more exciting than a new world record. And everybody thinks that Pope and Young is just this like pinnacle top tier, like that we only care about the biggest and the best. And that couldn't be further from the truth. We celebrate any ethical, fair chase, bow killed animal. Yep. And that's what I love to hear. I mean, from guys like Bo, who are world-class elk callers. I mean, obviously they can hold their own against anybody.
Sure.
And they get just as excited about calling in a 260, 270, I think you said, than a 400. And I love hearing that.
I'd love to see him with a 400-inch bull because, I mean, he'd be doing triple back flips, or a 350 bull, or, we'll see how it goes. Bo and I have enough points to draw Arizona. And instead of me drawing a big, like 23 South or something like that and trying to find a 400-inch bull, I'm going to try and put in with Bo and let him piggyback my points. And I'd rather see him, get a bull that's, bigger, something that's a 350 bull, maybe 360, something for him, try and get him a little better bull than he's been hunting. You can only shoot as good a bull as you've got in your area. And a lot of times Bo's areas that he's hunting are, we've got one place in Oregon we've been hunting since 1982. And I think the biggest bull we've ever killed there is 340. And most of your bulls are 280, the big 6 points. So all you can do is the best you can do for the area,
Dude, I love hearing you say that because, and I don't know that I coined the term. Somebody probably said it before me, but I always say, know your trophy. What I mean by that is like so many guys, and it's due to social media and everybody thinks there's just this 350-inch bull around every tree. I mean, because that's all they see on social media. Everybody else is out there killing 350-inch bulls. And that's what they, I got to kill a 320 or better. I'm not shooting anything this year. Well, listen, there's no 320 bulls where you're at. Like, so you're not going to kill a 320 bull. Right. And where I'm at in the whitetail world, I live here in Kansas and everybody thinks there's just a 160 hiding behind every tree. And man, how come everybody else is out there shooting 160s and I'm not? Well, sometimes, man, the biggest buck on your property is a 125, a 130. The biggest bull that you're going to have the chance to kill is a 260. And you better take it because that's the biggest one you're going to find.
Well, I think a huge mistake, a lot of people, I got to 89 and someone got after Bo on the internet the other day, and I'm not going to mention names, but the guy basically slammed Bo for shooting a 270 bull with his bow and said, you're the world champion elk caller, 2-time world champion. You're better than that. You're good enough to call in bigger bulls. And the guy basically said, if I can't go out and kill a 340, I'm not going out and going hunting. Well, I can tell you something. I don't know the guy. I'm betting my resume for elk is a little bit, how would you say it?
Robust.
I'd say just a little more than the average individual. And I could not go out and kill a 340 bull every time. A 340 bull is a hell of a nice elk. You just got to do what's good for you. And if a 340 bull is what your goal is and that's what you want to do every time, perfect. You do you. I get upset when I see people get after people for shooting a spike bull or a 3-point bull or a 2-point buck. Hey man, you got to start somewhere and it's your tag. If you're happy with that animal, then so be it, and I did not get to 89. The guy said, your dad didn't get to 89 or 80 something bulls by shooting dinks. That's not true. My very first elk was a spike and then a 3 or 4 point and then a 5 point. And then I worked my way up the ladder and I'd always try and shoot a 6-point bull. But yeah, I didn't always do that. A couple years ago, I shot a 5 point over there at that same place that I'd been hunting all those years. It brought me back. It was my 85th bull. It brought me back. I was having a tough season, and it brought me back to what, I cut my teeth elk hunting there. I've been hunting that place for 40 years or, whatever. So 40 something years, 43 years. And it reminded me when I was young, and it was fun. Yeah. I wasn't just stressing about trying to find the biggest animal on the planet. It was a great time. The bull's great eating. I love to eat them. Fortunately for me, my wife's a bow hunter, and she's probably shot 20 bull elk with a bow, and she always puts an elk in our freezer. So she puts one in the freezer usually pretty early in the season, and then and that's going to be a dang good eating bull, and then it's up to me. I go from there, and I've got plenty of family that loves to eat elk, so we shoot them, we get them processed, and then they go to everybody's freezer.
Man, and that's just it's so refreshing to hear that. Like, people hear me say that crap all the time because I don't kill big animals. Like, yeah, it's easy for you to say, Dylan.
Yeah,
dude, I'm the king of minimum. Like, that's where I'm at. Like, and but it's nice to hear somebody who, I mean, you've got what, 12 bulls over 400? Is that right?
12 that gross over 400. Yes.
I mean, you're no slack to killing mega giants. But to hear somebody who is, and here's what I've learned, is those guys who are used to killing mega giants know that mentality because they've been through it. Like, they've seen it. They know how hard it is to kill those big bulls, and they know what it takes to get to that point. Like, and I know you're friends with Chuck, and I got to share camp with Chuck Adams, and wow. I think just a couple days before I left to go hunt with Chuck, I shot a doe. And I remember telling him the story, and he's like, well, hey, a doe with a bow, man, that's a trophy. Like, celebrate that. And I was like, dude, to hear the king of hunting talk that way, like, is it's important to me. And I think it's important that the world hears people who is no stranger to shooting mega giants talk that way. And sure. I was reminded this year, my son was in the blind with me. We decoy this buck in, and I shot him at 24 yards, and we were just, he's 6 years old. We were celebrating. We were going nuts in the blind, and he's like, let's call Pop Pop. That's what he calls my dad. And so he FaceTimed my dad, and my dad says, was it a big one? And like, without missing a beat, he just says, it was a buck, Pop Pop, and then ran off. And I'm like, there's something about that. Like, there's something to that. Like, he's right. Yep. We get so caught up in how big it was, and we're here to talk about a new world record. I understand that. We're here to talk about the biggest of the biggest. But I also,
it's about it's not just about the world record. It's about what it takes to get to where you have all these lessons that I've learned through life. I've got friends that have hunted forever that have shot a lot of bull elk, but not nearly as many as they could have because they're trophy hunting all those years and passing up 6-point bulls. And those are the things that give you experience as you're going along. And the more experiences you get, the more, when it comes time, crunch time for a big bull like that, the more you've got it figured out. And if you pass up bulls and go immediately into trophy hunting, you may not perform so well when a giant comes walking in. You haven't been there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely, man. But again, that's why I think it's so important that the hunting community hears this from somebody who is successful, from somebody who has punched their tag on so many incredible bull elk, and not the latest one, but the one we're here to talk about that went 478 and 2/8 inches. Holy cow. Like, let's just break that down. That beat our last world record by 28 inches, somewhere in there. Just quick math on my, 28 inches, somewhere in there. And it's only 3/8 inches from the Spider Bull, which is the Boone and Crockett world record. Yeah. That is outstanding. And listen, I'm not taking anything from the Spider Bull. I'm not taking anything from rifle hunters.
Sure.
But to do it with a bow, like,
right.
So just so everybody is aware, Boone and Crockett is the record book for any animal. It could be found dead on the side of the road. You could hit it with your car. Pope and Young is archery taken animals only. So this is the biggest elk ever taken with archery equipment, and it's only 8 inches away from the biggest bull ever found or killed in North America.
Yeah.
This is a mega stud. Mega stud. Tell me about it, man. How'd you even break down this whole story of killing this bull?
I have some friends, we're always on the lookout for, if someone comes across a big bull, sometimes I'll hear about it. Of course I hear about, my phone blows up all the time with bulls that are farm bulls, but those, you know what I mean about that.
Yeah.
Those are not my deal. They're not my cup of tea. Some people just don't understand that those bulls are out there. So they send me pictures of these 600-inch bulls and stuff. But when I get pictures of legitimate bulls in certain areas, then I try and figure out if we can find that bull. And I've got sources, I've got friends that, that live this. So, so the guys that I've got in Washington were big shed hunt or are big shed hunters. They love to find sheds. And this bull, it lived in the national forest. It lived up on a mountain, and he would come down in there and he would drop in this thick, super thick stuff that he lived in. It was very, very thick. And I've said it before on other podcasts and stuff. You probably heard me say it. It's like a black-tailed deer where a blacktail lives. You wouldn't want to take off and walk through this stuff and try and hunt him. It was extremely thick. In fact, some of the sheds that were found by other people from this bull, they were chewed on by squirrels by the time they knew the bull was there, but by the time they found the sheds, they were all eaten up. They were hammered. Most of them that I've seen were hammered by squirrels before anybody ever found them because they were so hard to find. I had two different sets of friends that knew about this bull, and it was my target bull. I had seen enough pictures of this bull that I knew that this is, through the years, this bull was just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And my friends, they worked extremely hard the year before I shot him, and they spent 40 to 60 days on this bull until he dropped, and they got both sheds. And I believe that those sheds were in the 450 range. But the impressive part of those sheds is, okay, he's 450. That's impressive. It's amazing. These guys have found a lot of sheds. They've been doing it since the 80s. This is the biggest set they ever found. And the mass on it, you only get 4 per side on circumferences. It doesn't tell the whole story about how heavy this is. The points, you get them off the beams, you get your circumferences, but you don't get them off the point. The points are just pickle heavy. And, we knew this bull was extremely heavy. We knew he's getting pretty old. But we had no idea that he was going to blow up the way he did. And he showed up in, I want to say June, and we saw that he had split seconds. And to be honest with you, I didn't recognize him because it was too early in the game. The split seconds were there. Thirds were there. His fourths were there. And I didn't recognize him because I wasn't thinking that was him. And my buddies called him the H marker bull, for the circumferences. And so I sent my buddy this picture, and he says, "Where'd you get that picture?" And I said, "I got it from another friend." And he says, "That's the H marker bull." And then I started looking at the picture and I realized who it was. And that is a massive addition to a huge rack. When you start throwing split brows on both sides, and I'm not looking at the score sheet, but I'm sure it added 20 inches to the rack.
Yeah.
So he grew one split second one year. So he wouldn't grow it, and then he would grow it the next year, and then he wouldn't grow it again, and then he grew 2 the next year. And then he disappeared on us for a while. We had other pictures of him a little bit in the velvet, but then he disappeared. And then the next picture we got was hard horned. and my eyes about popped out of my head. I couldn't believe what I was looking at. And I stared at it a little bit, and I took a picture of the Sean O'Shea bull, the world record. And then I photoshopped this. I mean, I'm limited. I'm 60 years old. I'm a dipstick when it comes to computers and phones. As you can see, we just had to fix my phone just now. But I photoshopped this bull right above it. I, split the screen with those two bulls, and I said, this bull is bigger than the Sean O'Shea bull. If we can kill this bull, this is going to be the new world record. And so we worked on him. And the deal was this: my friends were offered tremendous amounts of money from the governor tag holder, the guy that had the governor tag. It wasn't from the holder itself; it was one of his friends that approached my friends and offered him a lot of money. And he says, "We'd like to pay you a bunch of money for this, the location of this bull." And my friend says, he's not about that. It's not his bull to do that. And my friend just basically said, he's in the woods, go find him. And that's what he said. And at that point, we weren't even sure that my buddy Brad, we weren't even sure, the guys that found the shed, we weren't sure that they were even going to want this bull shot. They wanted to find the sheds again. I mean, can you imagine finding that set of sheds, what it would be like to walk through the woods and come across that? So, I just, my other set of friends, they talked to me about it and they said, we want you to hunt this bull. And I says, well, there's a little bit of a complication. Those guys didn't know that I knew about the bull already. And I was not going to step on my friend Brad and his family's toes. They wanted to find the sheds. I wouldn't hunt that bull. And I told them, I says, look, I'm not going to hunt that bull. I says, I won't lose a friendship over an elk. I won't lose it over a deer. Friends are too valuable to me. And I says, I will not hunt it. You have my word. If you don't give me the green light, I won't hunt it. Okay. My other friends could have took me there and we could have hunted it, but that would have been going around other people's backs, and I'm not about that. And so I said, but I can guarantee you this: if I don't go, somebody is going to take that governor tag guy to that bull and he's going to shoot him. So they thought about it for one day and they called me the next day and they said, we really appreciate the fact that you're willing to, keep our friendship over an elk. And we really love that about you. And you got the green light. We want you to shoot this bull. So we worked at it. And I was in Washington in September, October, November, and December. And I was building a house in Central Oregon at the same time. I had a piece of property that had a Measure 49 permit, and I only had a certain day. I had nothing like waiting to the last minute. It was a 10-year permit, but I had to get it done. So I'm working on that house, helping the guys frame. We're working on it, and then I would slip away, and then I'd try and hunt this bull, and then I'd get back to the house and try and work. And in December, while I was slipping away, I drove all the way from Ellensburg all the way to Central Oregon, and I came around a corner. The snowplow had plowed in front of me in the snow and sanded all the way to this one corner, but they did not sand the corner. They plowed the corner, but didn't sand the worst corner on the road. And I came into that corner and there was no sand, and I lost control and shot across the lane, and she was coming back to sand, and I hit the snowplow head on.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, snowplow, F-150 and a snowplow, don't do that. It doesn't.
The snowplow wins every time. Wins.
I went sideways, driver door right into the plow. And I had my arm up on, my left hand on the steering wheel, had my seatbelt on. And the side curtain airbags all went off. I think 9, or I don't know. See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6 airbags went off. But all the side curtain airbags, because it was a side impact, went off. And the one that got me was the one at my door. It pushed my shoulder in, it fractured my wrist and it tore my rotator or my labrum. And I'm so claustrophobic. I've had doctors tell me what they think it is, but I haven't gone in to get it checked because they'd have to knock me out. I just don't like MRIs. So I'm really concerned. I jump out of that truck and I go up and check the driver. She's okay. And then I can start feeling pain in my hand and eventually in my shoulder. And I didn't know if I could draw a bow, and it was hurting pretty bad. And I finally drew a bow, but like an idiot, I had to come down with that. So drawing it, I should have shot it, but I came down and man, did I feel that. Oh. And instead of picking up a rifle, it was a raffle tag, not an auction tag. It was a raffle tag. And the raffle tag was good from September 1st to December 31st. And I don't know how many units it was good in, probably 4 units or something, 5 units. I don't know how many units it is. I'm not sure. I never counted, but I knew where I was going to be hunting anyway. And I went over there and I shot a couple times and I was shooting just 20 yards. I was shooting a little bit left, but I didn't have enough in me. I didn't want to tear that thing any worse than it was. I knew I was shooting just slightly left, but it was going to be okay. And I figured I'd just compensate when I shoot, just aim a little bit right. Well, I never should do that because when I get in the heat of battle there, I always aim exactly where I want to hit. And it's the furthest thing from my mind because my bow is always, I usually have it right where I want it. So
yeah.
Anyway, I went hunting. I only had 2 days left. I stuck with the bow. I did not pick up a rifle. It was any weapon tag. And I was going to swing for the fence. And I was going to hunt a different bull. And there was only 2 or 3 days left or something like that. 3 days left. And I was going to hunt a different bull. And I got a phone call from a landowner saying that I could go hunt their property. And there was about a 40-acre chunk of woods that was super thick. And there was a little tiny cabin on it, and it not occupied. These people go there every once in a while, I think. And the one chunk might have been 30 acres and the other one might have been 10 or whatever. But I got permission on one of the two. And I went in there knowing I had to shoot close. I didn't want to track this bull and try and shoot him out of his bed or anything. I wanted him to come to me and control the situation more with his shoulder, especially. I didn't want to shoot much farther than 20 yards because it really hurt to hold the bow up,
Mm-hmm.
And I set up a camera and I set up a blind and I put out some alfalfa. It was 5 gallons of alfalfa and 5 gallons of apples, and which is legal in the state of Washington, or was legal. It's not now.
Legal.
Yeah, chronic waste disease is moving into our state. And long before I shot this bull, they were working on, I knew people that were on committees that were obtaining information on CWD and all that stuff. And they were doing hearings and all that. It was well on its way. I've had people say that they stopped baiting because of me. You can think that all you want, but I wasn't the only person that was baiting on that mountain. I can tell you that there were baits everywhere.
The only unfortunate thing, the only reason people say that is because your bull is the one that got the attention.
And it was on at 4:00 on the last day of the season. And it's probably one of the last elk that was
ever shot with bait.
One of the last animals that was killed over bait, probably, yes. So, obviously when I got permission, I was pumped. The guy that was with me, they left a message and said I had permission. The guy that was with me, that was driving with me, my friend, I said, turn around. He says, well, what are you talking about? I says, turn around. We got permission. What are you talking about? I said, turn around now. So he turned around, we regrouped, went in and we put, like I said, 5 gallons of apples, 5 gallons of alfalfa.
Which, by the way, just for everybody that's saying it was a baited bull and he shot it over bait, that lasts like about 30 minutes if an elk gets on it. I mean, so what's the difference in all the dudes who hunt over, and I'm not saying anything negative because I hunt in Kansas. We hunt food plots all the time.
Sure.
What's the difference in a guy hunting a food plot or a corn feeder and somebody throwing out alfalfa and apples?
That's right. Yeah.
It's just a way to complain. Yeah.
It happens all the time. And, you could say the same for water. And, one of my good friends said it the other day. You can put out all the corn you want in Kansas. That doesn't mean that they have to come eat that corn. But,
right.
When you're hunting water, that's a different deal. They got to come drink. So, they don't have to eat that corn. So there's food plots, there's water, there's lots of different ways to hunt, and just do you. That's what I would say. Don't be upset with anybody else,
Right.
But I put that stuff out, put a camera out in the blind. I wanted the shot to be close, about 20 yards. And that night the bull showed back up. So it was
how long had it been since you've seen him from that point?
I don't know. I can't remember. A couple weeks maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, he disappeared pretty big time. So when the mountain lion, we had him up on the mountain, and he would just kind of hit different spots on the mountain. He wasn't consistent anywhere. And then I said, well, there's a hunt going on here, an archery hunt. And I said, when this archery hunt ends, all these baits that everybody's got all around this country are going to dry up. Mm-hmm. And I said, when that happens, he'll get more consistent. And he showed up, and I got a picture of him, and I look at him, oh boy, isn't he pretty? And look at the next picture, boy, he's beautiful. And the next picture is a mountain lion. He's gone, and there's a mountain lion standing right where he was standing. Oh. And I was like, ooh, if that doesn't make your heart sink, And so he ran out of there, left, and went to a different location. It was the same area where he had shed the year before, so I knew it was where he liked to be in the winter. And I said, okay, this is good. And the next day at about 3:00, somebody drove a side-by-side into an area where it was blocked, and you weren't supposed to drive. It was public land, but you weren't supposed to drive side-by-sides in there. Yeah. And sure as shooting, he drove one right in there, right where my camera was and everything, and ran everything out. So, and then after that, for about 2 days or 3 days, I don't remember, guys would walk around in there, and we're getting pictures of people walking around. They were running the thing off so they could find the sheds. They didn't want me shooting it. That's what I believe anyway, or maybe it was just luck. Maybe they were just looking for sheds. I don't know what they were doing in there, but I can tell you this, it screwed things up pretty bad, and it ran him out of the country. And we looked everywhere for this bull, and we had a pretty good idea where he's at, because we had on about the first day.
If I'm tracking the story right, you've only got like 2 days left now, right?
Yeah, we're getting down to 3 days, right? And we know where we think he is, because there were some giant tracks there. And we think he's there, but he's in that thick brush. If he was at 20 yards, you would never see him. I mean, it was so thick. But the tracks, this thing had a foot. I mean, and it was a very low density where I was hunting. There was not very many elk there. And he was with about a 4-point bull, about a 2-year-old. Okay. So, I mean, his foot looked huge compared to any other elk tracks that were in that little spot. Right. Anyway, we got that permission. We set everything up, and we weren't positive he was there. We just had an idea that he was there. And that night we got a picture of him. So now we know he's there. We're excited. I go in before daylight the next morning. I get in the blind, and I sat there from daylight until dark. And then my friends walked in and unzipped me and got me out. And that was a long day. I mean, that wasn't my first car wreck. I've been in them before, and I'm pretty beat up. But it was a long day, and deleting photos off my camera, and I mean, just anything to pass the time. And I had quite a few deer come in, but I didn't have any elk. And the next day I got in the blind, and I sat there, and it's like a repeat of the day before. And, every time that I only have one shoot window. These are ice fishing blinds that I cut holes in, because they've got a skirt on the bottom. And I'm telling you, whitetail hunters or anybody that likes to hunt out of a blind, take note. This is a good way to go. And I thought about this years ago, and I started doing it. And we use it for coos deer. We use it for everything. They've got a skirt, so you can throw dirt or snow on that skirt of the ice fishing blind. That seals your bottom for scent. And this doesn't have windows that breathe. So I take a knife and I cut one shoot window out. That's it. And then I cut a little window over here that's got plastic behind it so I can see, but that's all I got. So if I want to look out the window, I got to lean and just kind of look out the window and then come back. It felt like I was in gym class. Before I was done, I was doing, how many of those crunches a day, leaning forward, leaning back, leaning forward, leaning back. And I was just sitting there playing with my phone, just passing time, deleting photos, just dinking around. And I went like this, and it was about, I want to say 3:45 in the afternoon, and it ends. I don't know what time it ends, but let's just say 5:00, just for instance. It's getting close to the end of the hunt, and I'm going to eat my tag, but I'm good with that. I wanted to swing for the fence. I wanted to go for this bull. And at 3:45, I lean like this and lean forward, and all I can see is his entire right side walking at 23 yards, walking in, coming in.
Oh my gosh.
And I said, oh,
here he is.
I think I know what that is right there. And I reached down and grabbed my bow, and I don't know who has the patience for this or the stomach for this. I sort of do. I sat there with that bull straight on with me for 15 minutes.
Oh my gosh.
At 18 yards. But
does that help you in your opinion? Does that help you calm down?
No,
or does
it makes things worse. I'd rather the bull, like calling bulls in and such, I'd rather they came around the corner. I made I just make up my mind and I shoot them or I don't. And I've let a lot of giants walk because I'm evidently slow at doing math. Sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. But, if it's a no doubt bull, that's a great way, when there's no doubt that, that's the way it's nice when they come around the corner like that.
The reason I ask is because I like it, either see it and shoot it or see it for 20 minutes and then shoot it. Right. But that like 5-10 minute mark where like the anticipation is just continuing to build, then it's harder. But like if it's there for so long, you're calm, he's calm, like then it seems like, okay, everything's just settled down. Let's shoot it now. But I would rather even happen like quick and instant or give me time and settle down. Let me look at you. Let me watch you. But some people, man, like the anticipation just continues to build and continues to build.
Hey man, I still get excited.
Oh yeah.
And I love that about bow hunting. I still get excited and I've been there a lot of times. And I actually, if I'm cold, I shake a little easier. I start shivering a little.
Oh yeah.
And I take a great big breath. And then I push down on my diaphragm with that breath, and those shakes will go away immediately. It's something that I figured out works for me. So when I start getting shaky and start getting, a little bit excited, I take a huge breath and I push that air down real tight against my diaphragm and let it sit there for a second and let off. And a lot of it calms down. But the thing you got to remember is 15 minutes of looking at a bull at 18 yards, I've got that bow in my hand. That is the shoulder that I tore, So it was excruciating to hold that thing up in the air like that for that long. I was hooked up, ready to go, And at one point he decides he's going to leave. And when he turns and starts going that direction, kind of headed to my right, I draw my bow. And he is broadside, but now he's got twigs up in front of his lungs. So I sat there, and I didn't want to come down because I didn't want to make any noise. So I sat there, and I knew it was going to hurt. And he started to walk, and I came down. I had a diaphragm in my mouth because I want to be able to stop the bull if, But I waited until he came out, and he turned the corner to come around back in and give me a better shot. So once I knew he was doing that, I came down. And he was straight on with me. Once again, he was kind of sitting there straight on with me for quite a little bit there. And then, God has a plan, and I'm just so fortunate that I was part of it. He stepped forward with the leg that was to me. He stepped forward with that leg. And I said, that's as good as it's going to get. I came to full draw once again, put it on him, and squeezed her off. And the arrow buried. All I could see was the fletching.
Oh my gosh.
So, I mean, or it was gone. Maybe the knock was all I could see. Anyway, so I came to full draw and I put it tight on that front shoulder. Now, mind you, I'm shooting tight on that front shoulder because he's quartering towards me.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot about the 2 inches left. So when I shot, I hit about 2 inches left, but the arrow still went completely in him. So I knew I was in good shape. But it would have been, I would have preferred to have shot, maybe just to get away from the shoulder. That shoulder scares me. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I cow called pretty rapidly to slow the bull down. I wanted him to end up on that piece of ground that I was on and not get messy and, go on to the neighboring chunk, which was that 30-acre piece with all it was a piece with timber on it. And they were nice people, but I didn't want to deal with that. So I cow called a bunch of times. And so I gave him a little time there and I walked up there and some mule deer were in front of me and they kind of moved out. And when they moved out, the bull was standing there and he kind of bumped a little bit and he moved over a little ways and then he bedded down. And at that point we backed out. So I just said, you know what, quartering towards you. I don't know if I got one lung. I'm not real sure what I have here. I said, I'm going to back out. And so one thing, even as much, I've shot an archery super slam. So I've shot everything in North America. I've shot lots of moose and sheep and deer. And lots of experience with this stuff. But no matter how much experience you have with bow hunting, it's always a good idea to bounce ideas off your buddies. Okay. So, so we went back and we sat down and said, look, I know what I'm thinking. What are you guys thinking? And I even called Randy Ulmer and said, hey, Randy, this is what I got. And Randy absolutely convinced me. He says, just let him go overnight. It's cold. It's snowing. He says, you're good to go. He says, just back out.
Did you tell him it was a new world record?
I sent him a picture and yeah, he flipped out.
Okay.
Yeah. He's like, whoa, get out of there. Get out of there. So anyway,
which if you don't know who Randy Ulmer is, Google him. A legend in bow hunting.
Legend. Absolute. And one of the most approachable people. I just love him to death. He's just a super good friend of mine. How many people are at his level that you can just walk up to at a show and talk to him anytime you want? And he's glad to talk to you. Yep, and that's how I got to know him, is just talking to him at shows and stuff. And he's one of my best friends. I love him to death. So, but anyway, I know what he said and I know what I was thinking. And then we went back and we all sat around. And what we did at that point is we elected to call a police officer that we knew. And that police officer got us in contact with the local game warden. And the game warden said we were good to go the next morning because the season was over.
Right.
Right. As soon as it got dark, it's done. We're done. At midnight that night, it's over. So, I didn't want to go in there at 12 o'clock and bump him out of there and then have a mess, So we let him go overnight. We went back the next morning. The bull was he expired right where I left him. Snow on his antlers. And with every step, he got bigger and bigger and bigger. And I was like, I was wrong. I was so wrong. And when I had him in my hands, holding him there, just looking at him, I was thinking 460. And I told my little sister, I called her and I told her, I said, I think this bull's got to be it's the biggest elk I've ever shot, Tana. I said, and holding him in my hand, I was still, dang near 30 inches off.
Jiminy Christmas.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, man. Oh,
pretty neat feeling.
And first off, how many hours, not even hours, how many minutes of sleep did you get after arrowing that bull and having to wait? Like
those make for some long nights, but
yeah.
but I guess maybe it's because I'm 60 and I'm kind of spawned out. I'm an old guy I'm like an old fish on the beach waiting to go, so I'm just, it's easy for me to fall asleep. I can lay down on this hardwood floor at any time and go to sleep. I'm tired all the time. So, those nights though, sometimes I toss and turn a lot, if I have to go overnight with something like that. And the next morning, I'll tell you this, you're ready to go. You're really, really ready to go. And we did not want to go in before daylight. So we just waited and we went in, and like I say, it was meant to be, everything was just perfect. The meat was great. We made the right choice. Thanks to friends like Randy and all my other friends that decided with me, we made the right choice.
That's incredible, man. That's incredible. I mean, to hear a story, and again, it's like it's what you want out of a world record story. I mean, some guys, again, you hear the story and it's like, dude, I saw the bull and shot it. Like I had no idea it existed, no idea it was there, and we shot it.
Sure.
And with this story, you've got everything, man. You've got the pursuit over how many years? How many years were you chasing this bull?
A couple years. Yeah, a couple years, but we've known about him. See, I mean, he wasn't always giant, right? I mean, but these guys, my friends back there have known about him for quite a few years. And if you start looking back at the pictures, I think between the two different groups, I think we have pictures that go clear back to when this bull was 4 years old, and he's 9. He was 9.5. We had him aged. So he was 9.5 years old and he grew a rack like that. It's just amazing.
How many trail camera pictures did you have from him?
A lot, because there was not just me. There were other people. So yeah there were other people.
From your time of deciding, like, hey, it's time to shoot this bull, and I'm making the active pursuit to kill this bull. How many data points did you have on him?
I don't know. I don't know how many points. I mean, it's like in the wintertime coming up here pretty soon, I'll have a bunch of cameras out and I'll get 700 photos a night. So I don't keep track of the photos. In fact, I'll save a few photos and then just delete the rest of them, and I do have a lot of different pictures of this bull. I've got some trail camera pictures that would blow your mind.
How long did you wait? How long did you wait to make a public post about this bull?
Well, that was a funny deal. Remember I told you I was building that house over there. So one morning at 3 a.m, it was just me. I was over there and I was setting trusses by myself on a smaller building. And I'm up there and it's raining and blowing and it's cold. It's December. And I got my cell phone and I'm using my cell phone for a light. And I'm setting these trusses and I dropped my phone. It was an iPhone 15, and it fell down there and it landed on the concrete and it's all wet. And I immediately got down and I shut the light off and I said, well, at least the light, the screen came on, and then I put it in my truck and I said, this is a good time to run back to the house and go warm up. And so I went back to another place that I stay out there, and I plugged that phone in and it didn't do anything. So I had a dead screen, I had a dead phone, and I couldn't call out with it. So I ran to town and I bought an iPhone 16, and someone said, you can get a new screen for that 15. And so I took it to a place and they said, we can't guarantee the data that's in there. Well, those are pictures that I've got in there of this bull and everything else. And I says, well, all you can do is try. And I can't remember my passwords. So I have no way of getting into my Apple account to put all my information, all my account, everything in here. So I think I left there when I was done, and I went to Mexico, and I was in Mexico for, I don't know, I was in Mexico hunting Coues deer for a month, and I didn't have a phone until, a phone that actually had contacts and everything till I got back. So I went 6 weeks with a phone with no contacts. My own dad could call me and I wouldn't know who was calling because I didn't recognize the phone number, and I'd say, who is this? This is your dad. So yeah, I was pretty lost, but you know what? It was a blessing because I didn't have any social media. I didn't have anything. And I didn't have to sit there and dwell and read the comments that everybody was making. A lot of the comments, you read them.
Oh yeah.
Were based from an individual that, let's just say, evidently he doesn't have anything better to do than to make stuff up. And anyway, he started all these rumors, and a lot of people bid on it. And, like I say, without me there to change their minds, I can understand why they would believe that, because I wasn't there fighting it and saying, hey guys, this isn't true. So on March 6th or something like that, I did a podcast with Cameron Haynes. Mm-hmm. And then I let my story go out to Outdoor Life magazine, and they did kind of a podcast between them without me, and told the story. And that story is very interesting. It tells everything about what happened. And it's a good one to listen to because it gives you the whole, it tells you everything about, there was a poaching investigation on this elk. One of the neighbors called in and said, I poached it, said I used bait, which is legal or whatever, and said I used too much bait and that I didn't have permission. I had verbal permission on my phone. I still had the recording of her giving me permission, and I didn't use too much bait. And they went in there and they checked it out, and it was a closed case, open and closed immediately. Mm-hmm. So it just talks about all that stuff. The neighbor next door wanted to find the sheds, and I understand that, but he was a fellow bow hunter, and I had permission to be there. So, you know,
I don't know the guy. I don't know who he is. I don't care to know him. Let me just say this. I hope you're listening, homeboy, because if you don't celebrate in the success of another bow hunter, you're not a fellow bow hunter. You're a selfish individual.
Yes.
And I had to learn that lesson at a young age, man. I was chasing this buck that, and this was Northwest Arkansas, like not a special buck as a national grand scheme would go. But for the area, a really good buck. And I was in high school, man. This was, my life revolved around this buck. And
how big was he?
Oh, I mean, probably 115 inches. But again, Northwest Arkansas.
That's a good one. That's a good one there,
though,
right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
There you go.
And somebody I knew well ended up killing him. And I remember being angry. And my dad stopped me and he said, listen to me, son. If you can't be happy for another bow hunter that has harvested the animal,
yes,
you need to quit right now. You need to just stop.
Yep.
And I was just like, and I still didn't get it at the time. I'm like, but Dad, I was chasing that buck, dude. That was my buck. Like, he's like, no, that was not your buck. Like, right. You had the joy of pursuing him, but that was not your buck.
Yeah.
And man, that's just how I feel about anything. If you are a quote unquote bow hunter and you can't celebrate in the authentic success of another bow hunter, I'm not saying we celebrate in the poaching of another hunter or the, being illegal, but if they have done everything ethical and fair chase and you can't celebrate in that, you need to check yourself, because you're not a fellow bow hunter. You're a selfish individual who thinks they own the animals, and you don't own the animals.
Right. For sure. And, there was a lot of things that the fellow said, and he said that he had been feeding it for a month. That was not true because I've got pictures of him, over on
during
the ridge,
that time,
on the other side, on the public side over there. So without getting into it too deep with that guy, it just, he was very rough. He was very, 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 direct and to the point. And I just, when he asked me what I was doing there, when we set up for the very first time, I didn't lie to the guy. I told him I had a deer tag, because I knew that would, he says, I'm feeding a giant bull over here and you guys are coming trying to get sheds. Sheds aren't going to fall for, a couple months or whatever it is. And I says, relax. I said, I'm deer hunting. And I was deer hunting. I had a deer tag. If a 200-inch deer would have walked in, or a 180 or whatever, something I was excited about, I would have shot it. But I knew what I was doing for the bull. I just didn't want him. If I'd have said I was here for that bull, I think he would have went. I mean, not saying he would have. I'm saying that the temptation for some people might have been to go in there and destroy the setup that I had. So I was just very careful about what I said to that guy. And in the end, he told me that he would not have shot that bull. He would have shot a 5-point instead. And you know what? Good for you. That's all right. But don't look down your nose at me for shooting this bull, because this is the bull that I was after. So,
and that's what's so funny, man. You were talking about, your son getting trashed for the 270. And then it's like, okay, I'll shoot a bigger one. And then you shoot the biggest one and you still get trashed. Like,
that's right. Yeah.
No matter what, it's like these keyboard warriors. And I don't know if you're familiar with the hunting public or not, but last episode I had on Zach Farrenball from the hunting public. And we talked about how the sickest parts of people come out on social media. Like,
they do.
The most sadistic parts of people come out on social media. And it's just sad because you criticize me when I shoot a small bull. And then I shoot the biggest bull that's ever been taken with archery equipment, and you criticize me for that. Like, there are going to always be people who find something negative to say about the animal you shoot. And it's crazy, man.
Man, I'll tell you what, you go bow hunting and you shoot something with your bow. You're a bow hunter, fellow bow hunter. I don't care if it's big or small. You send me a picture and I will tell you, congratulations.
Yeah.
I want to be happy for people. I know what it's like. To me, a spike bull, for me, this is a personal thing. A spike bull is more of a trophy for me than shooting a 500-inch bull with a rifle. So, I mean, it's just, you got to do what's good for you. And not saying it's bad to shoot anything with a rifle. I'm just saying, for me, I would rather shoot a spike. The accomplishment of shooting something with my bow, it doesn't matter how big it is. To me, it's so satisfying what is it about bow hunting that does this to us? It's just amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
you're absolutely right.
They're all trophies. And I will never look down my nose at anybody for shooting anything. You want to shoot a doe, you shoot a doe. You want to shoot except for my wife. Sometimes if she's early in the year and she wants to shoot a spike, I'm like, hey, there's some branch bulls in this area. Let's hold out and try and get you a nicer bull if we can. And usually she does,
Yeah.
So sometimes it pays off. Sometimes it doesn't.
Going back to people's misconceptions about Pope and Young, honestly, when I started for Pope and Young, I still had those misconceptions. And I've been here for 6 years now. And I still, like, when I started working for Pope and Young, I'm like, man, I don't really fit in here. Like, I don't shoot mega giant studs. I've never completed the Super Slam. I'm not an elite bow hunter, if you will.
Sure.
And I'll never forget that first deer season I was working for Pope and Young. I don't know if you know Jim Willems, but at the time he was the president of Pope and Young.
You bet.
And I shoot this buck and I sent him a picture. And the reason I said what I said, he was recently at my home and I had been showing him pictures of the buck I was chasing.
Yes.
And so I sent him this picture and my text said, not the big one. But I sent him the picture. And what I meant by that is not the one I was showing you pictures of.
Oh, I see.
And all he responded with was, he was big enough for you to shoot. And I was just like, that's so true, man. Like,
that's right.
I saw this buck and I was thrilled. I was excited and I shot him. Like, perfect. And he took my text out of context, but, I had since told him,
that's not what you meant.
We've had a conversation about that since, but, what he meant to, in that text, I think symbolizes everything that Pope and Young stands for. And it's just, hey, we are archery hunters. We are fair chase, ethical bow hunters. And if you shoot a book animal, fantastic. Get it entered and honor that animal, put it in the book. That data point matters. But if you shoot one that doesn't make book, congratulations for going out there and chasing animals and pursuing animals with archery equipment, and good job.
Absolutely.
And for me, he just wrapped up everything that Pope and Young stood for in that one single text. Like, we are ethical, fair chase bow hunters. That's what we live and breathe. We live and breathe bow hunting. And obviously you live and breathe bow hunting. You had a torn, what'd you say? Latham?
It's either,
labrum.
I've been told both. I've been told it was a rotator, and then I've been told it was a labrum. So I don't know what it is. I can tell you this: it hurts like HE double hockey sticks. But I have been shooting. The other day I shot, I think, between 10 and 20 times at a target.
That probably makes your doctor just roll over at night that you're out shooting your bow and he ain't got you fixed yet.
When I went to the urgent care emergency room after
he said,
the
Casey,
accident,
I told you not to shoot your bow.
I when I went to the emergency room, they did x-rays of my wrist and stuff, and the doctor comes in and he sits down and he says, I'm going to put a cast or whatever on that wrist. I said, no, you're not. I said, I said, are you a hunter? And he says, yes. I says, I have a excellent elk tag, and I only have, a couple weeks left. And he says, Casey, what I'll do is I'll give you a soft cast that you can put on there, wear it all the time. And then when you got to make that shot, take it off. I think I could have shot with that thing on, honestly, but take it off and take the shot and then put it back on. But you didn't hear me tell you that. So I want to go back to the doctor and say, Doc, I did exactly what you said.
You haven't told him you killed a new world record with that yet?
No, I haven't. No.
Oh man. You got to tell Doc.
I know. I got to go see him. Yeah, I do. I have to go see him, but I can continue to work. I work every day. We're hay farmers, and as long as my arm's down low, I can do everything just fine. It's unfortunate that my arm was up here when I had that airbag go off, because that's just like holding my bow. My shoulder's up in that same position. I can feel it right there. Just if I roll it a little bit, boy, I can feel it. But like I say, with a little bit of a grunt, I can pull my bow and shoot it. And I shot it 10 to 20 times the other day, and it felt so good to shoot my bow.
Did you have to change your bow at all? Change your poundage, let it down some?
I tried that. When I went coos deer hunting, we backed it down to, I shoot 65 for everything. So I shot everything in North America at 65 pounds. And I backed it down to, I believe, 50, and it hurt just as bad at 50 as it did 65.
I figured that was the case.
Yeah, it did. It's just the position it's in with
the
that
holding
pressure.
position. Yeah.
So I moved it back up to like 58 pounds or something, so I could kind of get it where I wanted it, where I normally hunt with it for coos deer. There's no need for those little deer. I shoot a lighter arrow, and I'm shooting them at 20 yards or 30 yards anyway. So
yeah.
And I got it done. I got a couple coos deer, and then I let it rest from February until slightly just before the season. I picked up my bow and I took a few shots to make sure everything was on, but I have not been abusing my shoulder. And you guys got to understand, most of the elk I shoot are at 20 to 30 yards. So it's like riding a bike. When you've shot a bow as long as I have, it's a piece of cake. For me to pick up a bow.
Yeah.
The only thing that is hard is if I'm going to shoot longer distance, my strength is not there. And that's why I'd like to be shooting more, is to build that shoulder up and just get my strength there.
Yeah.
I would go to outdoor nationals and shoot with Darren Collins, good friend of mine. Probably the best bow hunter, without a doubt, the best bow hunter I've ever hunted with. And Darren would force me to go to outdoor nationals with him or tournaments with him and shoot. And then, because you go from not shooting very many arrows to shooting 150 arrows a day. And but I was always happy I did it. After I went to the shoot, I would end up right in the middle of the pack or whatever. But I also didn't understand the rules on, okay, you gotta shoot a fan here. You got to shoot one from this stake, one from that stake, one from that stake, one from that stake. And I'd sit in one spot and I'd shoot all 4 of them at 40 yards in a hole that big. And they'd say, okay, well, 3 of those are deductions. So I said, okay, I learned the hard way.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I have had a long time love for Garmin products, and for good reason. When it comes to smartwatches, when it comes to GPS wearables and handhelds, when it comes to devices to stay in touch with my friends and family when I'm off grid, there's just simply nobody that can compete with Garmin. Here's the best part. They make something for everybody in every price range. So whether you're looking for something like the Instinct, which is one of my favorite watches of all time, it's incredibly well built. It is priced phenomenally, but it is also just as tough as nails. You could throw that thing through a meat grinder and it's going to come out just like the day you bought it. All of that, and it still offers me all of the GPS features that I need when I'm on the mountain, still offers me all of the cool smartwatch features that I want when I'm in the office or at the gym or tracking my sleep habits. And then you move up to something like the Tactic series, which has ballistics built into it. It's got lights built into it so that you can use it as a flashlight around camp. It has full color GPS maps. Guys, Garmin has something for you. And then you move on to something like the InReach, which is the best thing that you could ever have to stay in touch with friends and family when you're off grid. Let me tell you something. Mama likes getting text message when I'm on the mountain just to tell her that I'm safe and that I love her. But it also gives her an incredible peace of mind knowing that that little device in my hand, if something were to happen with the touch of a button, I can let her know where I'm at. I can also alert rescue teams to let them know where I'm at. Guys, I literally trust Garmin with my life. And then as far as the bow shop goes, they make the best chronographs that you could ever get your hands on. Guys, here's what I'm going to tell you. Whether you're looking for a new wearable to just get smart notifications when you're in the office, or a new wearable to track your sleep habits and your workouts in the gym, or whether you're looking to go off grid with full color GPS maps, Garmin has a wearable for you. They also have a full line of handheld GPS and devices to stay in touch with friends and family. Guys, go check out Garmin.com because I have never one time went wrong with a Garmin product. Now, being that obviously, I mean, you share this story and the fact that you are a diehard bow hunter just is highlighted in all of that.
Yes.
Being that that's the case, you are a life member of Pope and Young.
Yes.
Am I correct?
Yes.
What does, in your opinion, and that's why I say that, in your opinion, what does being a member of Pope and Young as a bow hunter really, truly mean for you?
Well, for me, it's supporting the sport that we love. And that's what if bow hunting is a dying archery, bow hunting is a dying sport. I mean, hunting is a dying sport. So for every one of us older guys that go, or every 2 of us older guys goes out, we're only getting replaced with 1. So a person needs to be part of all that. It's important to be part of Pope and Young and be part of these organizations to support the thing that we love the most. These organizations are the ones that are fighting for our rights. If there's no one there to fight for our rights, we're not going to have anything left.
Yeah.
You and I aren't going to go out there and convince people, but the people that are real smart, they're good at this. And that's why we have them doing it. They go in there and they say, hey, wait a minute. It's like state of Washington. They banned baiting of deer and elk. And they also banned feeding of deer and elk. Not based on science. Okay. They banned it. They banned it. And I mean, it's Washington. It's where I live. And Oregon, Washington, it's just kind of the way things go. They banned it, but the state of Washington is still going to feed thousands of elk. So I can't go out there and put 10 gallons of bait out every day for an elk, but they can bait thousands of elk in. And aren't we trying to keep the animals separate from chronic waste disease? That's the whole reason, right? So, you know how it goes. So these are the kind of things that SEI, Pope and Young, Grand Slam,
Rocky Mountain Elk,
Rocky Mountain Elk, all these organizations, they when they see a problem, they'll move forward and say, hey guys, look, this isn't right. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with joining different state organizations either, even if you don't live there. It helps
100%.
It helps them, So, yeah.
100%. And that's why I say, like, my voice, like, people say, well, my voice doesn't matter. I'm just you're right. Like, on that scale, if you say your voice doesn't matter, you're right. It doesn't. However, if I'm a member of Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation, if I'm a member of Pope and Young, if I'm a member of the NDA, if I'm a member of Kansas Bowhunters Association and Oklahoma Bowhunter Associations, Pheasants Forever, Quail Forever, Ducks Unlimited.
Sure.
Now all of a sudden, I just named 8 organizations that are letting my voice be heard.
Yes, absolutely.
So my voice then does matter. And I know it's harsh. Like, I know it's a harsh way to put this, but I've oftentimes said, if your rights as a bow hunter get taken tomorrow and you're not a part of the organizations that are fighting to protect those rights, and I'm not just talking about Pope and Young.
Sure.
I'm talking about Rocky Mountain Elk and NDA and all of if you're not a part of those and your rights get taken, you have no right to complain. No. Because you are doing nothing to protect it.
Yep. And I try and be a life member of all of them. If I feel like they're doing what they can do to help, me, even if it's even if I don't think it's going to help me, but it's going to help the hunters as a whole, I'll join it. It's no problem.
Yeah.
To me, it's
right.
First of all, you got to remember this, Pope and Young, Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation, the Mule Deer Foundation, SEI, Grand Slam Club Ovas, FNAWS, all of them are 501c3s. So if you buy stuff at an auction or you do this stuff, you can write that stuff off. It's, so it helps them. And, and when you can write it off, that helps you a little bit too.
You want to give it to the government or you want to give it to the hunting community?
We give enough to the government. We want to give it to the people that we love and the people that are taking care of the things that we love the most, which is hunting, and the outdoors, I mean, and like I said, it may not even be hunting. It may be fishing organizations. I still fish quite a bit, not as much as I used to, but it's good to be part of all that. So, too many nets start going in the river. These groups will go out there and they'll say, hey, why are all these nets in the river? We don't need that many nets in the river. Let's clean it up. And they fight for it, which means more fish upriver.
So the conclusion of that conversation is, if you are a bow hunter, you belong to Pope and Young. If you're an elk hunter, you belong to Rocky Mountain Elk. If you're a mule deer hunter, you belong to Mule Deer Foundation. If you're a deer hunter, you belong to the NDA. If you're a pheasant hunter, Pheasants Forever. Quail hunter, Quail Forever. You belong to those organizations and you should join those organizations. Now, to wrap up, Casey, I had Frank Noska on just a couple days ago. And I told him, I have the unique opportunity of working for Pope and Young, and people always ask me, who's the best hunter you've ever got to talk to? And I say, that's a loaded question. What species are we talking about? And they'll give me a species and I'll say, okay, well, then this person. And I said on there that Frank is, in my opinion, the best coos deer hunter on planet Earth. Sorry, or Pope and Young, cows deer hunter. The best cows deer hunter.
Yeah.
On planet Earth.
Yes.
However, if somebody were to say, okay, elk, then I would have to say Casey Brooks. That being said, if I've got the king of elk hunting on the show, I would like to hear, what are your tips, your tricks for the everyday elk hunter to become more successful?
I think my style of hunting is I call and I call and I call. The bulls that I harvested this year, all of them were called in and shot. The one bull was giving us fits and, bugling and running, and Bo got around and we tried something different this year, and he went in and he screamed at him, and I got above him, and the bull came into 20 yards and I popped him. But for the most part, we'd called that bull into 50 yards, but it was real thick and we couldn't get a shot at him. And 20 yards is better than 50 anyway. So it worked out. I love to call. Bo, obviously, those that know who my son is, he puts tons of tutorials out there. Bo Brooks. He's a 2-time world champion. He was raised by me. His technique is going to be very similar to me. In fact, I'm still learning even from Bo. I'm not closed-minded, man. Bo comes up with some things sometimes that I think make a lot of sense. And he's damn good at what he does. And he loves to share the information with people. So, he's part owner in Riven Elk Calls, and he does all these tutorials on how to call elk. And if you really want to learn how to call elk and you want to shorten the learning curve, get on there and listen to Bo and turkeys. He's an excellent turkey caller. So that's what I would say. I wish that I had a little more Randy Omer or Cameron Haynes style in me. Randy Omer likes to sneak in and shoot bulls. There are times when a bull is a screaming and running and screaming and running and screaming. He's hooking and booking. And those get to be, he may work good tomorrow, but once they get in that mode, it's really hard to get him out of it. Tomorrow could be a whole new day though. You catch him in the right situation, he might walk right in. So you just never know from day to day. But hooking and booking, Randy sometimes will just, Randy always, he never calls. So he'll let him sit up there and scream, and he'll slide in and shoot him. And sometimes I think that's necessary. Just not say anything, but all in all, 89 bulls with the bow and arrow. I'm sure that I've shot probably 82 of them with an elk call. So,
wow.
And I always call for myself.
You know what's so interesting about your mindset and correct me if I'm wrong, but you have said that every bull can be called. Is that correct?
Every bull can be called. To me, and people will tell you that there are bulls that can't be called. And I believe that, but
on a certain day,
I think okay, so we got a 360 bull that on September 15th, I keep trying to kill him on public land in Oregon. Can't kill him. He gathers them up and goes, gathers them and goes. That being said, that same bull on September 6th, no problem, would probably walk right in.
Yeah.
So before he's been trashed by everybody, that bull is very susceptible. And like I said, in other things, if you ever listen to what I talk about elk hunting, bulls on about September 7th, you're on these ridges and you're walking these ridges, you'll start seeing lone bull tracks lining out. And those bulls are trolling. They're going there by the 7th or so, they're starting to go and they're looking for cows. And a bunch of my big bulls have been killed between the 1st and the 15th. Most of my big bulls have been killed between the 1st and the 15th before they're all cowed up and wore out by people calling them. So early can be fantastic. More often than not, on August 29th, I'm into bulls and they're bugling pretty good on August 29th.
Yeah.
And I would stress realism. If you can get it, practice while you're driving down the road in the car, just cow call or whatever, or riding in the car by yourself is better because you don't drive everyone crazy. Bo drove us nuts growing up, but then he ended up a world champion. So it paid for us.
It was worth it. Yeah.
He did something that I've never done. Okay. I'm a meat caller. I haven't done well in the competitions, but in the woods, I'm very effective. Bo is effective in both. Yeah. He's very effective in both the competitions and in the woods. I feel more comfortable in the woods. It's really funny. I would rather have a 400-inch bull standing in front of me and screaming at him than have a crowd of people looking at me while I'm calling. Isn't that goofy? So, yeah.
Well, the reason I say that is because, obviously you just said Randy Ulmer, who is a legendary hunter, doesn't call.
Mm-hmm.
Casey Brooks, who is a legendary hunter, calls a ton. And it's just so interesting to me. Like, you can hunt with two different guys and two complete different experiences who are both very successful. Yeah. And just last fall, I was on an elk hunt with one of my best buddies, Waylon, Ace Outfitters out of Idaho. And you're hunting with one guide one day. And I'm hearing this from my buddies. They're like, man, I wish, Waylon is super aggressive. He's calling and dropping down and chasing these bulls, super aggressive.
Sure.
And Joel, the other guide, he's super quiet and he wants to just kind of sneak in. And you hear from both parties, they're like, man, I wish I was with the guy who was super quiet. Man, I wish I was with Waylon, who's super aggressive. And you hear this from both parties. And I'm like, guys, you have to remember, like, Joel's experiences have led him to be a quiet, sneak-in killer. Sure. Waylon's experiences have led him to be a balls to the wall, calling elk and dropping in on him aggressively.
Sure.
And both of them can be aggressive. Now, I will say that I don't think Joel is to say, like, well, these bulls can't be called in. You can't call a bull in. And I don't think Waylon is to say, well, you've got to be quiet and sneak in. And so I think he goes back to exactly what you just said. Do what you do. But I do think that the advice that you just gave is very beneficial to the guy who has been burned on calls before.
I agree.
Like, just because you've been burned on calls doesn't mean they don't work.
Hey, it's situational. And I would just say, read, if you can, try and read what's going on and make the best of it. If he's really reacting good to the calls and he sounds like he's closing ground, keep it up. Keep it up and get him in there tight. But if he's running from the calls, just like that bull was on us this year in Montana, then you got to change it up. And, Bo told me, he says, Dad, he says, just go get around in front of that bull. And Bo said he's had lots of clients that he's done that with, never had it work. But I was sliding in there like I was going to shoot a mule deer. And I was going real slow and listening to him scream, and I was getting the wind right. And I said, this ought to work right about here. And just looking at the terrain, and Bo lip balls at him, just, and then next thing you know, I hear that bull. He's gathering him up and he's coming. And then he just screams back. And I looked up and I go, oh, this is working. And all that running that he was doing, gathering his cows up, he only had a cow and a calf. He didn't even have a big herd. So,
yeah. What do you say to the guy who says, oh, dude, I had this bull responding back to me all day long. Oh, we were playing cat and mouse all day long. Uh-huh. He was never going to come into you. He just wanted to keep track of where you were. Like, he was moving, he was moving down the mountain as you were moving across the mountain, and he was just keeping track of you. Like, he was never going to come in.
Nope.
So what do you say to that guy who's like, dude, he was calling back to me all day long, but he was hung up, like he never came in?
Well, Bo did something very interesting with me this year. If there's two of you, Bo's done this with clients before, and, he really likes it. I hunt by myself a lot. So Bo says, Dad, I'm going to back off. So get ready. And I nodded my head and said, sounds good. Let's see how good this works. And he takes off running the other direction, snapping everything in sight, and then screams down the hill, another 50 yards down the hill. And he drug that bull right in. It was a bull that would not move. That bull was stuck. He would not break loose. And I call that a comfort zone. A lot of times the bull will come to a point where he's comfortable, and then he'll go back to his cows, and he'll come back out to that spot where it's comfortable. If you can when he goes back to his cows, if you can slip up there and get within 20 yards of that comfort zone, a lot of times he'll come back to it. But, that's when it's really nice if you got someone calling for you, because if you scream at him when you move forward, now he's going to get a new comfort zone. That's going to be going the other direction sometimes. So,
right.
Yeah, you just never know it's all situational, and it all comes with experience. And the more you do it, the better I think you get. But you know what? I've been bow hunting since I was 15, and I'm 60 now, so a long time. and I'm still learning lessons. And the difference between the bow hunters that are really good at what they do and the ones that are just kind of one of these, an average of 1 out of 10 years they get an elk, or 1 out of 10 years they get a deer. The guys that I notice are the guys that pay attention and they learn from their mistakes. And that's a real big deal, is learning from your mistakes and saying, wait a minute,
that's good.
I got to put that in my computer because I don't want that to happen again. You know, I made a mistake and I acknowledged it. So analyze things and say, what could I have done differently? What went wrong? And then the next time you're in that situation, it'll pop back up. And if you do it enough times, it just comes second nature. You just don't even have to think about it.
Yeah.
It's there. And I mean, guys like Darren Collins, you watch Darren Collins move through the woods. He's a predator, and he doesn't have to think about anything. His body is reacting. He can feel the wind, you know. I mean, he knows exactly what he's doing before he even does it. I mean, and I'm telling you, I've been around a lot of bow hunters, and to be around someone like Darren and watch him move. And I mean, the guy, I couldn't tell you how many antelope he's shot spot and stock, piles of them, piles.
Yeah.
You know, and if you're doing that consistently, you're an animal. And, you know, he's been around the block enough times, you know, that he's learned from his mistakes and he's learned from the things that worked, and you categorize all that stuff and you get it all figured out that, hey, this is what I did that one time. I'm going to try that again. Or, you know,
absolutely.
A bullet screaming and running from you. Shut up. Don't say anything.
100%.
Slide in there and start tearing a tree apart. Do not say a word. Go in there and get within 60 yards of him and start tearing a tree apart and see what happens. They can change their mind real quick.
Well, and that's what I was going to say to the guy who's like, man, I was chasing this bull. Like, I was calling, he was calling.
Yep.
50 yards away, 60 yards away. Like, we were just tied in there and could never get close. And you know, then later on in the story, and they're like, dude, then we were sitting and eating lunch and this bull walks right up on us. And I'm like, it's because you were quiet for 20 minutes.
That's right. He's
coming.
And
that bull down there was like, wait, why did you stop? Like, what happened? And then they come in. Like,
sure,
man, sometimes the best calling is to get them fired up and then shut up. Like, sometimes that's the best calling.
Yeah. Bo does that a lot with Eastern turkeys. You know, he gets in there and bird's over there hammering away. And then he just shuts up. And that bird, next thing you know, you hear, you know, and then you can see that head up there looking, bobbing around. It's amazing. You know, if he knows exactly where you're at, then he knows where you're at. But when you shut up, he's like, did he walk off? And he just comes in there looking for you. He knows where the last place was that you called. He knows exactly where it was.
Then he's mad because he's like, wait, I thought we was fired up. Like, what happened to you?
He's coming in there to get a piece of you, and you're gone, right? Oh,
I've heard you're a turkey hunter, so probably now is not the best time to tell you how much I hate turkey hunting. But
oh, good Lord, I really liked you until you said that. Now I'm nervous.
Hey, I'm like, man, dude, I always tell people, like, because like I said, I'm in Kansas, so I can be in hog country in 3 hours.
Yes.
So I'm like, man, why would I go spring turkey hunting when I can drive down and shoot 20 hogs in a day? You can only shoot one bird a year.
Yep. Or
I can drive down and shoot 20 hogs a day. Or spring bear. Like, you ever heard of bear hunting?
Sure.
Like, there's bears in the spring.
Yep.
So I'm what I would call an opportunist turkey hunter. If somebody calls me and says, hey, I got a bird, you want to come shoot it? I'm like, sure, let's shoot it.
Yep.
But I'm never like, hey, let's go out and turkey hunt. Like,
sure.
That sounds like a good time.
I love it. I get out there in the spring. I get a walk around in the hills, breathe the fresh air. And obviously I'm out of shape, so I'm getting whipped on pretty hard carrying backpacks and everything else. But I love it. I love bow hunting turkeys. I really do. And you like hunting hogs, you need to go with Darren Collins. He's there. He's in not far from Joplin, Missouri. And I think he lives in Kansas. Anyway, he loves to hog hunt more than anything.
Really?
He does.
I didn't know that.
You guys would have a blast. He is a neat person. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yep. He was just telling me the other day. He hogs. He says, I love to hunt hogs.
I tell people all the time, man, like if you're just now, because people call me and they're like, hey, I'm just starting bow hunting. Like, what's your advice? I'm like, go on a hog hunt.
Yep.
I'm just switching to a recurve. What's your advice? Go on a hog hunt. Like there's so many hogs that if you're on a spot and stalk and you blow one, like, don't worry, you're going to find more, you're going to kill more. It's okay.
Sure. You bet.
But also it's the best way to test equipment. Like in my opinion, there is nothing in North America as hard to punch an arrow through as a rough, tough, fat hog.
Yeah.
They are scabbed up from rubbing up against trees. Their hair is like porcupine needles. I mean, a big, greasy, nasty hog. I'm not talking about the ones that are good to eat.
Right.
They're the best to test equipment on. So like if you want to really know, do I have what it takes? Go on a hog hunt. And I'm not talking, do I have what it takes in order to kill one? There are a lot of animals harder to stalk. But as far as punching an arrow through one, like if you can blow through a 250-pound pig, you can punch through anything in North America.
You got a dang good setup if you can do that. Oh, do you shoot fixed or expandables on those?
I shoot fixed on everything.
Good for you.
I'm of the opinion, I don't like it when guys are like, I shoot a fixed. Unless I'm shooting deer, then I want to blow, a mega giant hole. Yeah. I always say, well, if it's best for the elk, why is it not best for the deer too? Like, if your goal is maximum penetration, why would you not shoot it on the deer as well? Like
I shoot fixed for everything but turkeys. I shoot expandables for turkeys, but
yeah.
But I mean, when you're talking about a ping pong ball that you're trying to hit, it's nice to have a those things are tough, but
at that point, just glue some razor blades on your broadhead and shoot a 6.5 inch cut.
6.5 cut. Yeah. Yep. And then I know I could hit them, but I like, of course I'm from Oregon and Washington, and we can't shoot, or we couldn't shoot expandables before. Now I think they probably can, but I think they made it legal, but for a long time we couldn't even shoot expandables. So I shoot fixed heads for everything.
Now, speaking of that, one of my dream hunts, people are always like, what's your dream hunt? One of mine on my list is California hogs. Like that would be, they taste way better. I mean, they get a lot fatter than those nasty Texas pigs that are eating garbage.
Sure.
So California pigs is like up there for me. Well,
that's where I think you need to talk to Chuck Adams about that, because that's what he, in his day, boy, he did a lot of that, I think. I'm sure that, Chuck in his day did that quite a bit.
Yeah. I think, like you said, younger days. Like I said, I got to share camp with Chuck in Oklahoma a couple years ago. And I'll tell you this, Chuck, I hope you're listening. There's a lot better camp companions than Chuck. I'm just, Chuck's not the funnest guy to share camp with, because Chuck is always in kill mode. Like it's not, let's get back to camp and play poker. It's like, let's get back to camp and start looking at pictures and looking at the map and figure out what we can do different. And I'm like, Chuck, why, let's just play poker, let's just have fun. And Chuck never turns it off.
He's good at what he does because he's focused,
Yeah. I'll tell you this. He goes to bed before you and he wakes up before you. Like you'll wake up and be having your coffee and you're like, where's Chuck? And you're like, dude, I dropped him off at his tree stand 2.5 hours ago. And you're like, the sun hadn't even come up yet. And you're like, yeah, he wanted to get there early.
What a machine. That's awesome. I love hearing that.
Yeah, he is. That's all he thinks about, man. And that is why he is successful. But also, going back to just hearing the story of this new world record, that's why you're successful. You hear guys and they're like, oh man, this happened. And we can always make excuses. We can always say like, oh, well, this took place, that took place. Couldn't get out and hunt much.
Sure.
But you're talking about a guy who literally just tore his shoulder completely to shreds. And he says, it hurts excruciatingly, but I'm going to go out and hunt because that's what I love to do. And that is the killer mentality that these legendary hunters that we're talking about have. Like, no matter how bad it sucks, no matter how bad the weather is, no matter how bad, I'm going to get out there because I can't kill them from the couch.
No, you can't. And sometimes it's really hard to get off the couch for me. I mean, there's those times, just like you're talking about. It's like, you can't kill them from home, and that. And then you get up and you go hunt blacktails. I mean, I hunted blacktails a lot. When I, years ago, I would hunt blacktails a lot. And the more it rains, the crappier the weather, the better the hunting is. And, you're going through blackberry vines and stinging nettles. And we used to shoot a lot of deer, spot and stalk, just sliding around and, still hunting. And you're cut up and you're beat up and you don't want to go back the next day, but it's raining and that they could be on their feet and they could show up. Tell you what, those deer will humble you. Those deer can be very tough. Darren Collins, when he was shooting his Super Slam, he says the black-tailed deer gave him fits, but he's really good at it now. He hunts them every year. He figured them out and he just loves to hunt them. So he hunts them every year, but I love hunting any deer. I just love to hunt.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, I think blacktail is highly considered in the circles we run for guys who have hunted everything. Blacktail is highly considered one of the hardest animals. I mean, to kill a big one, to kill a mega giant stud. Yeah. I mean, you are hunting in some nasty country.
They live. And for the guys that don't understand black-tailed deer, they can live and die in 10 acres and never really leave it. I mean, if they've got does and they've got food and water in that 10 acres, they don't ever have to, that brushy little patch, they don't ever have to leave it. They can, in the rut, they will though. Coming up here in October 29th or so, bucks will start making mistakes and they'll start trolling for does. But like the biggest blacktail I ever harvested was, I hunted him for 2 years. I got 2 daylight photos in 2 years of him.
Wow.
Yeah. And I shot him on the ground at 10 yards. So just no blind, no nothing. I shot him on the ground at 10 yards. Straight
That's
on.
Incredible.
Yeah, he went about 30 yards and piled up. And that, I mean, you're talking about a buck that grossed, I think, 159 inches as a true black-tailed deer, not a bench leg, not a cross. And I mean, after having that much time into him, a couple years in a row, trying to get him and to get that thing on the ground and get your hands on him. One of the most beautiful animals in the world. They eat good and such an accomplishment. You feel so good. And that's no different than any other animal, like whitetails or, I mean, man, I'll tell you, I've had some lessons taught to me on white-tailed deer. I'll tell you, those things can be smart. Dang.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, they can. And that's, man, and I'll just say this, as somebody who is one of the most accomplished bow hunters that there is, completed the Super Slam, shot world-class bulls, world-class deer, world-class everything, honestly. We could talk for hours about every species and every challenge you've had. Cool. But I just want to conclude it with saying, as many different species as you can go hunt. I don't care if it's squirrels or rabbits. I don't care if it's hogs or javelina. Yep. I don't care if it's antelope or whitetail or cow's deer. If you have the opportunity to go hunt a different species, take that opportunity, because you learn something different for every species. Yep. And there have been species where I thought, I don't have much interest in going to hunt this. And then you learn something and you think, dude, I'm going to take this back to the whitetail woods. I'm going to take this back to the elk woods.
Yeah, you're right.
And you learn something different. And so go on as many hunts as you can, and try different things, try new things, try different tactics, try different, don't hunt from a tree stand one year. Just try new things and see how much you learn. Now, I want to conclude by saying this. If you have not seen the bull that we are talking about here, if you've not seen Casey's world record-breaking bull, go to pope-young.org. It's at the very top of the news section. Read the story, hear the details, see the pictures. But more than that, coming up in 2027, I know that sounds like a long ways off, but it'll be here before we know it. Coming up in April of 2027 in Little Rock, Arkansas, God's country. Like I told you, Casey, I'm from Arkansas, so I'm pretty pumped that we're going to Arkansas for the 27 convention.
There you go.
This bull will be on display at the Pope and Young Convention in Little Rock, Arkansas. You can see it. You can take pictures with it. I bet you can even take pictures of the bull with Casey. Like you can stand there and say, it's Casey. Yeah. So you can see the bull. You can take photos of it. The kids can see it. They can admire it, as well as over 200 other incredible world-class trophies. So we'll see you in Little Rock for 2027. So you can see this bull. You can hear the story. You can see Casey get his new world record award. It's going to be special. It's going to be fun. So if you didn't get enough of Casey Brooks here on the podcast, come to the 2027 convention. My favorite part about the Pope and Young convention is that you have all of these world-class hunters like Casey Brooks, like Frank Noska, like Jim Willems, like Chuck Adams. They're just hanging out all week. You get to sit and have lunch with them. You can ask them all the tips and tricks you want to ask them. So we'll see you in 2027 in Little Rock, Arkansas for the Pope and Young convention. And you can see this new world record bull, as well as all the other new world records that we would have by then, and a trophy room full of world-class animals. Let me share a little bit about why I am so passionate about Mountain Ops. Yeah, they make incredible supplements to help me in my everyday life, on the mountain, in the gym. Great supplements. However, they also support my rights as a hunter. They're also Christian owned, which is something that I value a ton. And then third, through Operation Conquer Hunger, for every order that's placed on mountainops.com, they're providing a healthy meal to a family in need. Guys, if you use supplements at all, I would highly encourage you to look at not only the supplements that a company is pushing out, but also what that company represents. So guys, go check out mountainops.com, because it's a company that I can not only support because they make great products, but because they support the same things that I support. They support me as a hunter as well. So guys, go to mountainops.com, use code TYPICAL. That's going to save you a lot on your order, and you're still going to provide a meal for somebody who's in need of a healthy meal. Mountainops.com, discount code TYPICAL. Go check them out today. My favorite product by far is Ignite. I use it every single day. Before I podcast, before I sit down to work, before I go to the gym, I use it all the time. I use it on the mountain religiously. Ignite is my favorite product by far. However, they have a full line of supplements to help you conquer the mountain, conquer the day, conquer work, whatever you're looking to do. They've got something for you. Mountainops.com, discount code TYPICAL. Casey, thank you so much for coming on. Guys, thank you so much for listening. Everybody have a fantastic season. Good luck this fall, and keep the dusty side up.
Thank you so much.